Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about graphing this quadratic specifically and the steps we need to take in order to graph a quadratic in vertex form. Okay, so the great thing about this is there's pretty much really only two steps to doing it. First one is to find the vertex, which we don't really have to do much to calculate. We can kind of just look at this and immediately know the vertex because the vertex of any equation in in vertex form is always h comma k, right? So we have g of x, just as a general format is a times x minus h squared plus k, where h comma k is our vertex. So in this case, I just need to look at this equation and determine the vertex. And in this case, the vertex is 4, -8. Now, a question I get asked all the time is, oh, but this says -4 right here. How come I wrote +4? And the reason is because if we look back at the vertex form equation, notice that there's already a negative sign here. So this negative sign that's beside the 4, or beside any other number for that matter, is already in the equation. The actual value of h is just the 4. The negative beside the 4 was already there previously. And so we always have to, change the sign because it's x minus h squared rather than x plus h squared. And so that's the reason for that. Whereas the k value, on the other hand, since it says plus k, we keep the sign as is. So that's the first step, is to find the vertex. Just kind of by looking at the equation, we can find it, and then plotting that vertex. So it's 4, -8. So there we go, right there, 4, -8. Next, we're going to do the second step, which is to look at the a value and determine whether or not we need to do any stretches or compressions, and also whether or not we need to do, whether the parabola opens up or down. So keep in mind that whenever the a value is positive, that means the parabola opens up. Whenever the a value is negative, the parabola opens down, and the a value can never be 0, because if it were, we would actually just have a line, right? We just have a line rather than a quadratic. So a can't be 0, or it's not a quadratic. It's just a line. Okay. So in this case, a is 2, right? And so because a is 2 and that's a positive number, that means the parabola opens up. So I'm just going to write that here, that it opens up. And then the other question is, are there any stretches or compressions, right? In this case, there is a stretch by 2, right? A vertical stretch by 2. And we know that because we have a 2 in front of here. Whereas if this number was 1, then we wouldn't have any stretch or compression. So that's what I'm going to implement next, is we have to do a parabola that opens up and that has a stretch by 2. So normally our pattern is over 1, up 1, over 2, up 4. In this case, though, we need to multiply everything by 2, as there's a stretch by 2. So instead of over 1, up 1, it's going to be over 1, up 2, like that. And then instead of over 2, up 4, it's going to be over 2, up 4 times 2, right? Because we're multiplying all the y values by 2. And so that's going to give us over 2, up 8. So that's actually going to give us 2 points there and there. And then I'm just going to connect my dots like that in a parabolic formation. And there we have it. That's how we graph a quadratic in vertex form. As always, feel free to leave any questions in the comments, and I'll see you for the next one.